Hello and welcome to the Daily Millwall for Monday the 6th of May 2024. Bank holiday today, so not a lot going on. We do have something to cover in the video today. I'm going to start off with this from the southwarknews.co.uk. Neil Harris reveals the moment when he knew Millwall would be fine and survive relegation. Back in February, the Lions seemed to be at genuine risk of going down before Harris arrived and changed everything. Neil Harris said the win against Southampton in February was the moment he was convinced that Millwall would stay up. The 46-year-old head coach had only returned to the club a few days before the trip to St Mary's, and no one had seriously expected the Lions to get a result, having just lost back-to-back home games against Ipswich Town and Sheffield Wednesday. But an early header from Japhet Tanganga and a penalty by Zion Fleming got Millwall on their way, and they have not looked back since. The Lions comfortably stayed up, and Saturday's win at Swansea City means Harris has 8 victories from 13 games. Speaking after the 1-0 win in Wales, Harris said, my first game in charge was Southampton away, and they were on that ridiculous run before and had won something like 19 out of 24 games. You go to Southampton and you have 3,000 Millwall fans that have travelled to enjoy themselves. It's the first game back, and you think it's a game where Southampton can give you a real hiding. We won the game, and the reaction at the final whistle was phenomenal. It hadn't been like that for a long time, and that was the moment I knew we would be fine and we would secure enough points in this division. And that's the moment I knew I could rebuild this football club to what it should be. But we just started that. It's great to see 1,200 fans travel down at a difficult time to come and pay their money to watch the team at Swansea, and that's what they want to see. They want to see a Millwall team be committed for the football club and for them, because if they were on the pitch, that's what they would do. We're rebuilding it. We started it, and we have to progress it. So there you go. He knew straight away. That was a phenomenal result. That was literally chalk and cheese from the game before, the Sheffield Wednesday game. And to go away to Southampton, who were so dominant on that ridiculous run, and beating them, it helped us and sent them on a little wobble. So yeah, because they were looking at getting in the top 2 at that time, and we kind of knocked them off that perch, and now they're in the playoffs, and they have to go up via that route if they are going up. Now, moving on to this from the South London Press, the londonnewsonline.co.uk. This is just the start for Romain Esses. Millwall boss has positive message as he assesses prospects' impacts. Millwall head coach Neil Harris has hailed the professionalism of prospect Romain Esses. The 18-year-old South Londoner made 27 appearances for the Lions in the campaign. Just completed 25. What? The 18-year-old South London made 27 appearances for the Lions in the campaign just finished, and 25 of those were in the Championship. Esse started in Saturday's 1-0 win at Swansea City before being replaced shortly after the hour mark. I've only worked for him for 8 weeks, said Harris, speaking to the South London Press before the weekend. He's a very young man in the under-13s or under-14s when I first saw him. I've been so impressed with him as an 18-year-old. He's some good moments on the pitch and done really well in terms of affecting games, whether that is to start or off the bench. But the most impressive thing has been his professionalism and his qualities as a man. He's such a good lad, so down to earth, driven and dedicated. He's a really good pro. And that is a testament to the people that are around him at the training ground in terms of driving forward. It's important for us, as always, to have the right senior players at the club to guide our younger ones coming through. And this is just the start for Romain. He came on for 20 minutes against Plymouth and impacted the game, and that has to be him moving forward. It is a lot to ask an 18-year-old to be a regular starter, but Romain's next step into next season has got to be thinking about more starts, more appearances off the bench, and keep learning the game in different positions with or without the ball. It needs to be allowed time to keep developing physically as well. Physical development is a major part of a player, and I really look forward to working Romain into next season. So there you go. Does that mean he's not going anywhere? So he's not going to be sold to whoever was Liverpool or someone whoever's linked to him. He's going to be here next season, hopefully. Now, moving on to this. Why am I showing you this? This is the table for the Under-21 Professional Development League. This is a Northern group. I'm showing you that because after today's result between Sheffield United and Crewe, where Sheffield United won 6-0, that now means that Birmingham are guaranteed to finish in second place. And what that means is that Millwall under-21s will play Birmingham under-21s in the semi-finals at the Den sometime in the next 2 weeks. So that's guaranteed. Now, Sheffield United have won the group. They got 60 points. I believe now that means that on a points per game basis, they are ahead of Millwall. They've still got one game to play. They play 30 games in the northern section, 29 in the southern section. That means on a points per game, Millwall are currently on 2.03 points per game, and Sheffield United on 2.06, and they still have another game to play. So even if they lose that, they're ahead of Millwall. So if Millwall win their semi-final and Sheffield United win their semi-final, and they don't know who they're playing yet, that's going to be decided in next week. Millwall will be away in the final to Sheffield United, which is a repeat of last season's final where we were at home to Sheffield United. This time we were away to Sheffield United. So, yes, interesting. So we'll see how that turns out. And just to show you, in terms of when that could be, Birmingham still have to play a game. They've got the next game's on Friday afternoon away at Swansea, which is a big game for Swansea because they still have a chance to finish second in the southern section. So we'll see how that goes. But and the last games in the whole campaign, last games of the season for most teams are on the 14th of May. So we know we're playing Birmingham. Their last league game is on the 10th. Millwall's last league game was already happened on Friday, the 3rd. So when will the semi-final be played? Can they play it before the end of the season? I don't know if that's a possibility. So Tuesday the 14th is probably off the table. Wednesday the 15th, probably, maybe even Friday. How about, here's a crazy eye, Saturday the 18th at 3 p.m. How about that? Haven't had a Den. Saturday, I don't know if that's possible, but we'll see how it goes. I'm probably pretty sure that Millwall and Birmingham will be speaking to each other about when to play that game. So we'll see when that gets announced. Obviously, a lot going on at the club at the moment in terms of retained lists. And talking of retained lists, I'm going to let you in on a little secret now. I'm going to show you something. I'm going to show you a website. If you want to look like you know what you're talking about, and if you want to pour through a list of players that you think Millwall should sign, here we go. This is the place to be. There's a guy who runs this website. Don't know who he is, but the website's called Football Fragmento, and the address is footballfragmento.wordpress.com. And this guy did this last season. He's doing it this season now. English football released players summer 2024. Last updated the 6th of May, so up to date. In terms of the Premier League, so Thiago Silva, he's been announced. That's it. Premier League season still going on. Championship season finished this weekend. League 1 and League 2 finished last weekend. So as we go down, you can see not a lot going on in the Championship so far. Paddy McNair, Bartosz Białkowski, QPR, Albert Adomo, must be like 42 years old by now. Stoke City, Ender Stevens, left back, although he's like 34. Tyrese Campbell being let go. Again, here's the thing. With FFP these days, now normally back in the past, players being let go, you would say, well, they're being let go because they're duds. With FFP, it's literally like the situation where when we got relegated, even players we wanted to keep, because their contracts are up, we had to let them go. Because it's like, we need to cut the budget. So now you've got clubs in the same division who aren't getting relegated, need to cut their budget because of FFP. So you might be able to see some decent players on these lists of free agents. There's a recognisable name now, John Marquis. Obviously, I'm not saying we should go back in for him, just letting you know that he's leaving Bristol Rovers. Cambridge United, a load of players have been let go by them. And interestingly as well, this guy is doing offered new contract and in discussions with. So it might be that there are players that aren't being let go. They're being offered a new contract. But here's the thing: if you didn't know, it used to be back in the day tapping up. If you remember tapping up, now tapping up is when one club would speak to another player while he was still under contract and say, "Hey, you can't do that." But then players went to court or something and said, "Hang on a minute, my contract finishes. Am I not allowed to look for a new job? If I'm being told by this club, we're not going to give you a new contract when the one you have runs out, well, I'm not allowed to start looking for a new job already because I'm going to be unemployed at a date that I know. So we're supposed to all wait until that date and then start speaking. So then they'll come to an agreement where it's 6 months. 6 months before your contract ends. Most contracts run until, I believe it's June the 1st. I think it's June the 1st. Or it might be June the 30th. I think it's June the 1st. So 6 months before June the 1st, players can start talking to other clubs. So when you see a player that says offered new contract, this is a player whose contract is about to be run out. He's been offered a new contract, hasn't signed it yet. Presumably because he's speaking to other clubs. Now there's a player here, Suliko Kai. I think we have been linked with in the past. I think he was at Crystal Palace. He is at Cambridge United. Obviously, Neil Harris was recently at Cambridge United. So there you go. But if we go down, you can see Charlton, obviously local to us, so maybe in terms of getting players who will live in the area, that might be something to look at. Lincoln City. Obviously, like I said, because the League 1 and League 2 seasons finished last week, you've got a load of lists here that makes sense. Portsmouth are listed as a League 1 team because obviously this season they were in League 1. Next season they're going to be in Championship. So for this purposes, they're listed as a League 1 team. Letting a lot of players go. I think a lot of those are youth players. One of their players, Sam Follerin, was involved in 2 games as a trialist for our under-21s. He's not the one I talked about that wasn't that good the other game. That was before then. Uche Ikpeazu, a player we have been linked with in the past. As we know, why am I saying that? Because we know we like to keep going in for the same players. I don't know how he's got on at Port Vale. Player there you might have heard about, Aidan O'Brien, Shrewsbury Town, being released from his contract there. Maybe he'll go to Bromley, I don't know. Although he must be getting on a bit now. Was he 33, 34? Scrolling down. One thing I wanted to point out is so we're in League 2 now. We're looking at League 2. AFC Wimbledon. Now, why am I showing you them listed there in discussions with Roland Curtis? Now, with Millwall, our finances aren't the best. We do need to do a little bit of wheeling and dealing. Ronan Curtis is an interesting story. This is the thing, we need to find players with interesting stories, because that probably makes them uninteresting to a lot of clubs. Shall I tell you about Ronan Curtis? What Ronan Curtis did, he got injured before the end of last season, ACL injury. He was a Portsmouth player, but his contract was running out. Portsmouth did offer him a new contract, but it must have been derogatory, or maybe it was with a massive pay cut, or maybe it was like a short-term one, just until he got back from fitness from his injury, and he rejected it. He said, "You know what? No, I'm not going to do that." He went off, got himself fit, went to AFC Wimbledon, training with them to get match fit after his physiotherapy and stuff like that. Then they liked what they saw. They offered him a contract in January. So he's been playing for them from January this year until the end of the season. He's started 10 games, scored 5 goals with 2 assists. He's a left-sided player. So, he is certainly way better than League 2. Is he Championship level? Maybe not. Maybe not. But if he's on a free and he's half decent, if we can get him on, like, he was clearly on a trajectory at Portsmouth, doing well, got an injury, set him back, now contract situation. Obviously you have to have the medical team have a good look at him, but that's maybe one that we could be looking at. He's a player who was quality, and the circumstances around his life have led to him being knocked down a peg or two, and maybe it's a diamond in the rough that just needs a little bit of polishing, or maybe not. I don't know. Notable as well, Alex Pearce being released by obviously Wimbledon there. He must be pushing 40 as well. So there you go, League 2 as we go down. I don't really know a lot of these players. Stockport County, interesting Stockport County. Paddy Madden scored a bloody load of goals for them this season, and they're letting him go because they get promoted, so they don't think he's a League 1 player. Sutton United got relegated, had to let go of a lot of their players. Obviously budget cuts and whatnot. Seems like Steve Morrison is staying with them for the next season coming up. And there you go, Wrexham. So, like I said, if you want to know what you're talking about when you're talking about players that Millwall should sign, free players who are out of contract, Football Fragmento.wordpress.com. There you go. And on that note, thank you for watching and goodbye.